What's up, NBA fans? Chris here from Coach on the Couch. I want to talk about some of these trending topics. So we'll go from Jokic, let's talk about Embiid, we'll talk about the Suns, and then let's talk about the NBA and the whole media landscape. So first things first, I don't understand how Jokic can move up the MVP ladder after losing and getting fried. Like when I say fried, you can tell that Jokic didn't even put an effort on defense. Like his closeouts sometimes were him just standing there. And I don't really like that he can get passes with this stuff still. Because for any other player, we call them out like, hey, that's lazy defense. I remember when it started with James Harden. Recently, we see it with Luka. Why isn't Jokic getting that same treatment? And sometimes, even when he's trying on defense, he just doesn't have the foot speed to stay in front of anybody. Again, with other guys, we like chastise them for that. That's a ding on their legacy. And we don't talk about it with Jokic. He's trying to get in front of Brook Lopez, and Brook just slides right past him and dunks on him. And then a couple of times when the Bucks just make him rotate on defense, you can just see he's exhausted, like, just shoot it, Torian Prince. Now, on one hand, you can say that's the strategy to let him shoot, but that wouldn't be good because Torian Prince is actually shooting good this year. On the other hand, it's like, how are you doing this so often? So now we pretty much know as a team, the game plan against you is just to make you work harder on defense, and you're going to give up. And truthfully, I have seen this from Jokic for years, but now other people are starting to recognize. He puts in so much on the offensive side. A lot of people are like, well, he gives you a triple double, he makes everybody better, all of that stuff. So they give him credit for everything on offense. Now, on the defensive side, if I, as a game plan coach, like a JJ Redick, or we saw Doc Rivers do it to him recently, we just make him work the whole game. The fact that the offense runs through him constantly, our game plan is going to impact you on offense and defense. Think about it this way. When Jokic is out there and he has to work super hard on offense, he has to either score, be rebounding, or passing to somebody. That means every time down the floor, he's probably touching the ball. He's cutting across the lane back and forth, or he's up top handling the ball. He's doing handoffs, setting screens. It's a lot of effort expended on offense. Then on the defensive side, if we run our action through the person you're guarding, we can expose you. You'll be so tired from running around on defense that when you do get on offense, you can't be as efficient there. And then when you're on defense, we make you run even more. So both sides of the ball will be affected. And I think we're starting to see cracks in Denver's armor. I just hope that moving forward, we can really put a magnifying glass on Jokic's defense the way we do with everybody else in the league. That's in the MVP conversation. People aren't going to do this with SGA just yet because they don't really see how bad the Thunder are. They're leading the league, I think, or like top 5, top 3 in fouls. Like they foul a lot. And we won't talk about SGA's bad defense until after he wins his MVP. I'm telling you now, SGA's bad defense won't come up in the conversation until a year later because people care more about offense and defense. It's that simple. In other NBA news, the Phoenix Suns are still just a dumpster fire. I made a video a couple weeks ago asking if the Suns could compete to be in the playoffs, and they're still falling deeper in the Western Conference standings. And it's alarming at this point. They're going to be at the bottom of the play-in fighting for a spot. I thought they could at least contend for that 6th seed, but at this point, I don't think it's possible. That might just go to the Warriors. So they traded away Yusuf Nurkic, which I think was good. He wasn't really good for their team, but they tried to trade away Kevin Durant, and that failed. And now Budenholzer is just getting on everybody's nerves. Like nobody in the organization wants to be bothered with him. And you also got these other situations with Devin Booker. I think that's a massive red flag. Because if you look at Devin Booker and what he is to this franchise, if you lose him, where do you go? Right? Like, where do you go if you lose a Devin Booker at this point? He's so valuable to the team and so important to the culture. I don't think you can lose him and still have something in Phoenix. It's funny because you might think about, like, how did Mike Budenholzer win the championship if he's this bad of a coach? I don't think he was ever really all that great of a coach. I just think Giannis was so good that year, and a lot of the teams in the East fell apart. It was their time, it was kind of their time to get that championship. And then at the same time, when you put that spotlight on what Budenholzer was doing late in games over and over and over again, that just showed me he wasn't a high level coach. Because high level coaches could lose because other teams better, or he might get out coached sometimes. But the high level coaches don't get fried that often. They don't make their own mistakes to make them lose, right? You have to go out and beat them. For Budenholzer, he can beat himself. He just won't play the right guys, or he'll make the wrong substitutions at the wrong times. He'll call the wrong play. He doesn't really have a strategy for motivating the players or galvanizing his guys, right? Like he's already losing the locker room. And again, if you're falling apart like this now, how can you handle the playoffs in a tough Western Conference? I know the Suns thought they were getting a lot more when they signed Budenholzer, but I didn't think it would go this bad. I knew it would be bad, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Because at this point, you might lose Devin Booker. You're going to lose Kevin Durant for sure. I'll be shocked if he's still on this team. And now you might have to fire another coach. So I'm excited to see what the offseason looks like for the Suns because if they don't make the playoffs, it might be better if they don't make the playoffs because it would be way worse if they make the playoffs and get blown out. Like if they get ran out the gym like that year against Dallas, oh man, that could be really bad. That would be worse than not making the playoffs. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here. But if you're here watching this, you got to this point in the video, you might as well subscribe. I appreciate it. Make sure you like the video. Let me know your favorite team and what's going on with your team down in the comments below. So Joel Embiid and the 76ers are trending again because now they're saying he needs more surgery, but also saying that they can't pull the plug on the season, which is a weird thing to say. Like, you got to pick one or the other. At this point, let him sit out, get his rehab done, do the surgery, all of that stuff, get better, and then you take a run at it again next season. If I were the Sixers, I would even shut down Paul George because he's not providing that much. He's always hurt back and forth. Like, if he wants to play, he can. But once he has some little nagging injury, take a seat. Take a seat. At least you sign Maxey to a long-term deal. I don't know how much longer he'll want to be there losing like this, but he's probably happy getting paid. I saw a conversation about where you rank Joel Embiid or, just questions about his legacy and his career. And I think it's one of the most interesting conversations. Y'all know me. I don't like individual conversations, but that one is intriguing because he has one MVP. He's dominated for a lot of his games that he's played. But at the same time, I mean, in the Olympics, he played really well in the Olympics. Well, against that Serbia, that run, that was good. But then he's the same person that hasn't played half of his NBA games. So, like, it's such a head scratcher, man. Like, on one hand, I want to say he's an easy Hall of Famer, no question. On the other hand, it's like, it's a potential thing, right? Like, we know you could have been up here. I would have ranked him, like, with Shaq, Hakeem, all the other big men, Jokic, but I just don't see enough Embiid. I've never seen him play consistently and just dominate all throughout. Like, let's not forget, he never made the conference finals. And at this point, I don't think he will. Like, think about that. Him being that good and never making the conference finals, that has to be gotta be a problem there. And then for him, he's not even one of the guys who you can say, well, the team didn't do this or that because he's always been their main thing. The process was built around him. All the players and stuff they brought in was for him, not for anybody else. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Joel is like a top big man we've ever seen, or because he underachieved so much and he never made a conference finals, he's just a little overrated? Let me know what you think in the comments. The NBA media is finally under scrutiny, and I think we should have this conversation a lot more. At some point, we got to address the negativity in the media. Guys like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless got rich off of saying a whole lot of nothing or simply being haters. Just simply being a hater. That's it. Being super negative, talking crazy about players, and I've never been a fan of that type of content. One of the reasons I stopped doing my basketball show years ago is because I saw where it was going, right? When I was covering the NBA and stuff in college in like 2015, 2016, I knew where it was going. I knew it was going to get really, really toxic and really, really negative. And I hate that guys like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless have made just an entire genre of sports media. I want the NBA to be more like the NFL where it's positive, it's more analysis. You can still have debates of, who's better and who isn't, rankings and all of that stuff. You can still do that. But I think we have to be more respectful to the players. I think it should be more about the teams winning and losing, and it should be less about individuals and what they do on a personal level. I think too much talk in NBA is about what this guy does off the court instead of what's happening on the court. And it's too narrative driven, right? You got to be able to have a point of view and a perspective on it. You can have a personal point and a personal narrative, but let's back it up with facts and data. Just going on TV saying whatever about a guy because you don't like him is crazy. And we got to stop that. Personally, I think we got to stop that sooner rather than later because the value of the league is going to continue to drop if it's this battle of, the personal narrative stories. Because sometimes you turn on ESPN and they're not even talking about a great game that has happened or that is going to happen. It's all about what this guy did. Like they'll be talking about LeBron and the Lakers and it's finals time. Like the finals are about to come on and you're talking about a guy that hasn't played in months. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's stupid. So I'm hoping these kind of things can change. So what do you think? Should the NBA media continue to be on this path? Are you trying to be a next Stephen A. Smith? I know I'm not. Let me know down in the comments below, man. I'm excited to continue to cover the season. I'm excited for the playoffs. Free agency is coming. I'm so excited for all of this stuff, man. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time.